The dog who threw himself into the flames ran while carrying me for 2 days and nights. The constellations relentlessly chasing me were a frequent threat, but every time the dog who threw himself into the flames literally threw his body to protect me. The story, faithfully devoting one's life, has been repeated. How far did we run? Finally, the brightness of a new day could be seen. Oh, look, I got my own dog. The sub-scenario, Skirmish, has ended. You have kept the story course safe during the time limit. The constellations chasing after us stopped one by one in distant places, and all types of indirect messages flew through the air. Some constellations who failed to chase you are disappointed. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is yawning and asking if it's all over. The constellation Demon Like Judge of Fire is rejoicing with sleepy eyes. The constellation Dragon Lying Down is nodding at you, ploy. Some constellations are pointing fingers at your cowardice. It didn't matter if they pointed fingers or not. The most important thing was to survive. Dokek stared down at me with disapproving eyes and sent me compensation. You have obtained 200,000 coins as compensation. You have obtained 2 anvil stones for equipment transcendence as a reward. I thought it was around the time for items to enhance equipment to be released. Triple S grade items from the early scenarios were almost like scraps in the mid to late scenario areas. However, using the Transcendence Anvil Stones allowed you to stop the equipment from losing its quality. The income wasn't just that. The story, One Who Went Against the 12 Zodiacs, has been acquired. It might be history grade, but the more stories I had, the better. In the end, these little stories gathered together to form the complete status. In particular, the stories obtained would be useful in future fights thanks to distorting things as one pleases. The story, One Who Went Against the 12 Zodiacs, has been acquired. It might be history grade, but the more stories I had, the better. In the end, these little stories gathered together to form the complete status. In particular, the stories obtained would be useful in future fights thanks to distorting things as one pleases. The constellations chasing you are returning. Not long after the constellations hid themselves, the exterior of the Yujung-hyuk industrial complex emerged. Citizens who received the escape scenario were lining up to enter the industrial complex. Fortunately, Jang Hayoung and Han Myung-oh had done well. I spoke to the dog who threw himself into the flames. You can leave now. You don't have to be loyal to me. He didn't want to follow me wholeheartedly anyway. Thus, it was better to part ways at this point. However, after I turned away, he kept chasing me. Pant, pant, pant. I spoke with a frown. What? You aren't going? Yep. Moisture filled the dog's big eyes. The constellation Demon Like Judge of Fire is looking pitifully at dog who threw himself into the flames. The real name of the dog who threw himself into the flames was the dog of Osu. Translator's note, an old Korean folktale about a loyal dog who sacrificed himself to save his owner's life. In order to save his master from dying of fire, the dog wet his body and used it to extinguish the fire. Unfortunately, even this name wasn't his actual name. Are you going to follow me? Yep. I hesitated for a moment. Come to think of it, things would be hard for this dog even if he split from me. Some of the constellations are looking at the dog who threw himself into the flames. In this world, there were just as many constellations aiming for other constellations as there were constellations aiming at incarnations. If he countered those who had the modifiers of Dog Hunter or Melberg's Dog Fancier, then he would be stolen or killed. So far, he had been safe because of the 12 Zodiacs. Then let's go together. However, make your size a bit smaller. It will be a disturbance if you're too big. Yep. The dog who threw himself into the flames reduced the size of his body. He became the size of a golden retriever. Kim Dokja! Jang Hayoung discovered me and waved in the distance. Hey, are you okay? What is that dog? I picked him up. What about the others? They're busy guiding the people. The dog who threw himself into the flames licked Jang Hayoung's hand. Jang Hayoung asked, What's his name? I wanted to tell the truth, but decided to say it roughly. Osu. You have given a name to the dog who threw himself into the flames. The dog who threw himself into the flames is greatly impressed. The loyalty of the dog who threw himself into the flames has greatly increased. If I had known, I would have given him a better name. Jang Hayoung carefully examined Osu's body and was delighted. This is great. Sajo will like you. I was about to ask who Sajo was when I realized. Are you talking about the Breaking the Sky Master? Was she a female? Did you forget that only women can learn the Breaking the Sky swordsmanship? Come to think of it, the Breaking the Sky swordsmanship was like that. There were too many exceptions. For example, the guy in front of me. Why are you looking at me like that? No, it's nothing. I shook my head to get rid of my thoughts. The important issue right now wasn't Zheng Haiyang's gender identity, because the beginning of the Demon King selection is imminent. The Demon King selection was starting now. It came. Zheng Haiyang looked up nervously at my words. The entire 73rd Demon Realm was shaking. Unfamiliar colored stars appeared in the sky one by one. In order to watch the big event where the giant story was occurring, the constellations arrived from various parts of the star stream. Multiple constellations are entering the channel. Many Demon Kings are entering the channel. I could feel the mood just by looking at the beings enter the channel. Constellation Queen of the Darkest Spring is looking at you. The constellation God of Wine and Ecstasy is staring at you. The constellation Mass Production Maker is waving at you. The constellations I had met also appeared in the high skies. I tried to relax as I looked up at them in the sky. I had finally come to this place. There were still many scenarios remaining, and they were far away. Nevertheless, it wasn't a long way off now. At the very least, I came to a place where these lofty constellations were located in the mountain range. The 25th main scenario has arrived. Excessive skipping of the main scenario has damaged party of your status. I didn't carry out the scenarios in the 20s. I started to the 25th scenario straight away, so it was unavoidable that there would be a loss in probability. The main scenario, Demon King Selection, has started. Main scenario number 25, Demon King Selection. Category, Main. Difficulty, ? Clear conditions, team up with helpers to win the mythical battlefield. Time limit, none. Compensation, official succession of the Demon King position, ? Failure, death. You can recruit helpers for this scenario. There will be additional explanations from the Dokubis as the scenario progresses. It was a scenario where death was marked as the failure result. I would die here if I lost. It wasn't unfamiliar to me since it happened often. This scenario was held on a dedicated stage. The total number of participants in this scenario is 4. The main participants can recruit helpers if it is mutually agreed upon. You are a main participant in this scenario. I felt something great from the north and the west. The constellations belonging to the Meladon Industrial Complex are showing hostility towards you. The constellations belonging to the Birkin Industrial Complex are showing hostility towards you. As the constellations in the sky flashed, the voice of the Dokubi was heard. You've been waiting a long time, constellations. They were Dokek and Bihyung. Finally, the Demon King selection that you have been waiting for has begun. Along with Bihyung's words, a large hologram of a stage appeared on the words on the screen in the air. Thank you to the Mass Production Maker for making the game stage for this scenario. There was exaggerated applause as the map created by the Mass Production Maker appeared on the hologram. The game, Mythical Battlefield, is loaded. The map was a vast forest area with huge cliffs at the edges. The forest zone contained patterns of the industrial complex in the east, west, north, and south, which probably signified the starting points of each industrial complex. As you might have expected, this selection isn't simply a hit-and-run fight. It will be held in the form of a team competition, with each team being an industrial complex. Some of the constellations were surprised by the Dokubi's words and sent indirect messages. Of course, I wasn't surprised. I knew it well through the original novel. The rules of the game are simple. All participants can make a team of 7 people, including themselves. Every team member is given a different position and will play a role in the scenario through that position. It was similar to the so-called AOS games that were once popular on Earth. 1 tanker, 2 close-range damage dealers, 2 long-range damage dealers, and 1 supporter. Finally, 1 all-rounder. This was the game, the mythical battlefield where 7 people teamed up to fight. The constellation Mass Production Maker is smiling. As a matter of fact, this game was made of elements that have been stolen from somewhere. The Dokubi's words continued. There are 2 ways to win the game. One is to annihilate the participants of other teams apart from your own. The second way is to take away the sentence of the other team. Well, there will be more details once you join the game. Rather, there's one more important announcement. Bihyung glanced at me after long words. A total of 4 teams were originally scheduled to participate in this selection, but one of the industrial complex almost collapsed before the game started. I felt uneasy for a moment. Bi-hyung continued. To consider the fairness of the game, we've decided to tie two comparatively unfavorable industrial complexes together into one team. Then I heard a message in the air. You are currently a participant of the Yujin-hyuk Kim-dokcha Industrial Complex. It was an unexpected situation. I had been worried about Yujin-hyuk's team, so now I was able to reduce my troubles. Perhaps it was Bi-hyung's doing. In any case, why was it the Yujin-hyuk Kim-dokcha Industrial Complex? Based on the order of the Hangul flowchart, shouldn't the name of the industrial complex be Kim-dokcha Yujin-hyuk Industrial Complex? In any case, Jang Ha-young, where is Yujin-hyuk now? I looked around for Yujin-hyuk, but I couldn't find any traces of him. Jang Ha-young's eyes were wide as he asked back, What are you talking about? Didn't you meet him? Meet him? Didn't he go looking for you? What? I had a bad feeling. I hurriedly used Omniscient Reader's viewpoint. You can't connect with the current target. Damn it. I was wondering how to find this son of a bitch when something flashed on my mind. Fortunately, now it was midday. You have used the midday tryst. The midday tryst. It was a one-on-one chat item that I linked to this guy in the past. I didn't know if it was in range, but this was the only thing I could believe in right now. There are 39 unread messages. By the way, I had dozens of messages from him. I hurriedly opened the window. The first message started as follows. Kim-dokcha, I saved BU. Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 47 hours and 39 minutes ago. The messages continued to come over the next few days. But why did you suddenly disappear? Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 46 hours and 54 minutes ago. I have no time for your childish antics. Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 46 hours and 39 minutes ago. I will kill you if you don't show up again. Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 45 hours and 18 minutes ago. It isn't a joke. Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 44 hours and 39 minutes ago. Kim-dokcha. Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 41 hours and 38 minutes ago. After that, the dozens of messages continued. The last message was, I will go. Sender, Yujin-hyuk, 23 hours and 14 minutes ago. No, where did this bastard plan to go? I was dumbfounded and quickly sent a message. You idiot, come back quickly. I'm currently in the industrial complex. However, Yujin-hyuk didn't answer. There were no signs that he read it. Instead, I received a scenario message that was like a death sentence. Please recruit your helpers within 10 minutes. You can recruit 6 helpers. There were 2 dogs, 1 gender-ambiguous human, and a person trembling with fear that I would point to him. He had postpartum depression. Damn it. I urgently needed to fill up the 7 people, regardless of power. I sighed and opened my mouth. I will choose the helpers. The 2 dogs, Jang Ha-young and Han Myung-oh, were included, but I still needed 2 more. Even if 1 spot was left for Yujin-hyuk, 1 more person had to be recruited separately. I looked up at the sky. Every constellation in the channel is listening to you. Now it was time to test my network.